Hey Cam Fam, so Pam and Devin here. Wanted to try out something new here. Typically when we do investigations, we always put out our formal video, so we're trying something different. We're just trying to keep this a little relaxed and talk about the investigation, and then we'll put out the videos later. So let us know your thoughts on this, if you like the format, or if you don't, we could stop doing that too. So yeah, let's get this started.
All right. So earlier this month, back on the 13th of April, the KAM team went out to the AAMM, which is the Arkansas Air and Military Museum. We had 6 of our team members out, plus we had AJ from Big Boys Paranormal join us. We were there from, 5 p.m.?
So about 12.
1.
Yeah, about 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 o'clock in the morning. And it was a pretty eventful night. So.
Well, to be fair, it didn't start off too eventful. It got eventful when the cops showed up. That always makes things interesting. So a little about that. Most of the people were in Hangar 2. I was hanging out in Hangar 1 watching the cameras, because we always like to try and have people on the cameras watching them. And next thing I know, I hear people outside, and that's always the biggest scare, is actual seeing real people on site who aren't supposed to be there. Give me ghosts all day long, but give me real people, a little scary. And so looked out the door, and I see Robert walking up with 2 officers. So wasn't expected, but it turned out to be a really good happening for the night.
Yeah, so things were all smooth over with the officers. It was okay. They were just coming to make sure that we really should be at the AAMM at that time of night. Since it was after hours, they called the executive director, and it was all good, of course. Pam started giving them a tour of the location and explaining how we were doing our investigations, and the officers were, I think, a little intrigued in what we were doing. And as they walked into one area that had been quiet most of the night, immediately REM pods started going off, and they started to get basically responses. If you want to talk
that was actually in Hangar 2. So when we walked in there, the Sherrills were sitting there watching the helicopter, because that's where we had a lot of activity beforehand. They're watching the helicopter on their cameras and whatnot. And then as soon as, me and the officers kind of turned the corner at the head of the helicopter, I think, yeah. The REM pod started going off, and they were just shocked, because they're like, oh my gosh, that's the first time that's went off all night. And so that was definitely the beginning of the adventure of that night. And it didn't let up there.
Yeah, so the officers went to each building, and we had REM pods and other equipment just set out in different locations, and without fail, at every piece of equipment there was some sort of reaction. And being, I think, curious and trying to debunk everything that was going on, we thought, okay, it has to have something to do with their radios or something, some piece of electronics that they have on their body. And actually the radios were going off at different times throughout the night while they were standing at the REM pods, and they were not being set off, and neither was the other equipment. So we couldn't say that it was the radios actually setting off the REM pods. We can actually say it wasn't, because there were times when the radios went off, the REM pods did nothing, and there were times with complete radio silence that we were getting responses on all of our equipment. So we couldn't debunk any of this activity based on the equipment that the officers had on their person. So it became really, really interesting. And some of the videos that we're going to show you, you'll see that officers ask questions, and they get direct responses, like, show me a green light.
Hey, don't give up all the surprises coming up. You'll have to keep tuned for those. But definitely as the night progressed, they became more involved in the investigation, asking questions, getting responses. And it's not always in the same area too, so we definitely moved around a lot with the different hangars. We even at one point brought the K9 unit out, and we were getting responses with the K9 unit as well too, which was pretty exciting. And also we all got to pet the K9 unit, so that was fun.
Yeah, so it wasn't isolated to one location. It wasn't isolated to one piece of equipment. It was all the equipment spread out in every part of the museum, which there's 2 main hangars, plus another admin building, and then smaller just sections of the hangar. So it was a really, really interesting night.
And also something to note, and we have video of this if you haven't already seen it on the teaser trailer, was it's not just the REM pods that we were getting activity with. We even, brought out the dowsing rods, and the officer who was using the dowsing rods, he's never used them before, and so that was, definitely really fun getting to see that. And sorry, you keep seeing Zoe run around in the backyard, so everybody say hi, Zoe.
Yeah. In addition to that, too, we had some motion activated lights that were, you'll see in the videos what happens there. Just overall very, very interesting.
I would probably say one of the best investigations we have been on. And I think that's pretty much the consensus for the entire group.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, we're going to drop the link to the video in this description. But check out just the overall haunted history, I guess, of the museum that Lacey we created a video with Lacey. She walked us through everything that happens there that she knows of and everything that they've personally experienced. It's a really interesting watch. She goes over great detail of the museum, and it's just a really interesting museum too. If you're ever in the Fayetteville, Arkansas area, I would highly recommend checking that out just because of all the interesting exhibits that they have in it, especially if you like air exhibits. What else? So this is a second investigation that we've done at the AAMM. We did one in January with 4 of the KAM team members, and we had a lot of activity there as well. So we'll drop those links in the description so you can check those out. Every location that we had activity in the January hunt, I think we had the same locations having activity in this one. So
plus some additional locations as well too. So that was definitely good. I could probably say that's definitely a place we're going to go back to and do some additional investigations. Going with them, we're actually working with Lacey on maybe doing a special event there. So keep tuned for that. If you're in the area and you want to potentially join, that would be great.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's really it from a high-level overview of what happened in the April investigation. So stay tuned for the videos, and we'll be putting those out soon.
And like always, be sure to like and subscribe and click the little bell for notifications whenever we do more videos.
Thanks.
Happy hunting.
Bye.